It is the Sports Mashup number 12. May 19th is the day, of course, Wednesday, recording this one a little bit earlier than we typically have been in the last few weeks. That means we're going to touch on tonight's sports action. I think this will be up before most everything starts. But, of course, we'll start in the NBA as we get ready for the playoffs. We got some non-playoff news to start. That'll be interesting.
You got the Kings keep Luke Walton as head coach after going 31-41 consecutive years under Walton, and he has 2 years remaining on his contract. So kind of surprised that they're going to keep him as the head coach after consecutive years at 31-41.
Yeah, I think my thought and my take on this entire thing, and I'll keep it quick because who really cares about this overall in terms of who listens to us, but I don't understand why they hired Luke Walton in the first place. I always got the sense that he was just a horrible coach. So that's just kind of what I think. So I don't think the Kings are ever going to be good. Let's be honest. They have had good players go through there from time to time, but they're never actually going to be that good of a team.
No, who'd they had? They had who started their career there?
DeMarcus Cousins.
Harrison Barnes start there?
I think Harrison Barnes started. Didn't he start with Golden State?
They started at Golden State.
DeMarcus Cousins started there.
Isaiah Thomas started there.
Yeah, they're just not good, and he's not a good coach. Like they went from Jaeger to him. Neither of those guys is any good. So they're just cursed. They're like one of the NBA teams that's never actually going to be good. Kind of like the Lions in football. So kind of like that.
Next, though, we got Marv Albert to retire after the Eastern Conference Finals. 55 years in broadcasting. He's been with Turner for 22 years, 19 as an NBA play-by-play announcer, has called 13 NBA Finals, 25 All-Star games for NBA and Turner, had called the NBA or the Dream Team's romp to the gold medal in the 92 Barcelona Olympics. Started as the voice of the Rangers in 1965, and then the next 2 years later, also has called 8 Super Bowls and 8 Stanley Cup Finals.
He's a legend of the game, one of the all-time great broadcasters in the history of sports, I would say. What sucks really is that he hasn't been able to do any of the NBA games that he's done this season from the arena, which sucks. So, I mean, hopefully they can get him out there to do his last game from an arena, but I don't know if that's going to happen, but he's been doing it from a studio. But legend of the game, 100%.
Hey, that's just 55 years.
It's a long time.
And to do that many different finals, like 13 NBA finals, 8 Super Bowls, and 8 Stanley Cup finals. Like I had breakfast with my dad yesterday, and I was telling him about that. And he's like, yeah, I don't really watch the NBA, though. I'm like, Dad, but you don't understand. Like, he's done 8 Super Bowls and 8 Stanley Cup finals. He didn't just do the NBA.
Yeah, he's done it all. And, I don't think Kenny Albert's ever going to be as good as Marv, but Kenny Albert's the same way. He's done a lot of things, too. So, Marv Albert, legend of the game, and hopefully, he has a good retirement.
And then what we got here, the final regular season standings. In the Eastern Conference, we had Philly, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, New York, Atlanta, Miami, and then the play-in 7 through 10, Boston, Washington, Indiana, Charlotte. In the Western Conference, you had Utah, who clinched the best league record, the Suns, Denver, the Clippers, Dallas, Portland. The play-in 7 through 10 were the Lakers, Golden State, Memphis, and then the Spurs.
Okay, so let's just try to figure out this play-in thing. Here's how I think it works. So, in the East, last night you had 7 and 8, which was Boston and Washington. Okay, The winner of the 7 and 8 game automatically plays the 2 seed. So Boston's going to play Brooklyn 2 versus 7. The winner of Golden State.
The winner of that automatically becomes a 7 seed.
Yeah, and winner of Golden State LA will play Phoenix, which absolutely sucks for me. But so that's how that works. Then 9 versus 10. The winner of that will then play the loser of 7 versus 8, I believe. And then the winner of that game will play the 1 seed. So you have to play 2 games to become the 8 seed and 1 game to become the 7 seed for the plan.
So if you lose the 8 or the 9-10 game, you're out.
You're gone. Yeah. So let's say San Antonio wins and the Lakers win. It'll be Warriors Spurs for the 8 seed, and the Lakers will be the 7 seed. So little confusing, but not too confusing when you kind of look at the bracket and break it down.
Why wouldn't they just not make it like whoever wins a 7-8 game plays, or you're the 7 seed, and whoever wins the 9-10 game, you're the 8 seed?
I think they want to give the loser of the 7-8 team, since they would have been a playoff team in a normal year, another chance to be the 8 seed. So, like, the Wizards have a second shot to be the 8 seed, which I think that's fine, but it's a little too confusing. I don't know. But speaking of the Wizards, I don't know why people actually thought they had a chance. It's the Boston Celtics. You think they're going to lose to the Wizards in a big game? Please, I don't care who's playing.
Jason Tatum dropped 50 on him last night. But that was a weird game. Westbrook looked terrible.
Looked slow. You'd think he'd come out with a little more in a game like that, but he didn't.
Beal still looked like his hamstrings bothering him.
Yeah, let's not forget how horrendous the Wizards were early in the season. They just had to go on a huge run to even get to this point. They're not that good of a team, though. I don't care who's playing for them, but
no. But that's also the Celtics without Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, I don't think the Celtics have a chance against the Nets, but we'll see. Any one of the Nets could drop to an injury at any moment, I think, at this point. So, all right, let's go to the NFL. Just some news stuff to go over real quick here. You can go ahead with that.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in Denver, but Deshaun Hamilton tears his ACL away from the facility. Was that right at the end of the week last week? Right after we just covered, was it Jawan
James or something?
Where's that?
The Jawan James, that sounds right.
Was that not last week?
A couple weeks ago, I think. Jawan James got it for number 10. That's when
that was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I think I think Deshaun Hamilton was gonna get traded, but then he got hurt.
Who was it that was looking at him? That was the Niners. They were looking to get him as a punt returner. Or someone was looking to trade him. And then they were going to look to trade for him for a punt returner, and then they ended up signing Marquise Lee.
It sounds like the Niners. I don't remember, though. I mean, that's just, I don't know what's going on in Denver, but all I know is that anything that happens, just like the Jawan James thing where he doesn't get paid and then gets cut, everything that happens is negotiated by the NFLPA. So can't really blame the league here with whatever happens. So, all right, moving forward, what do we have next?
I still kept this in from last week just because it's still up in the air about who knows what's going to happen with Julio.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's more likely to get traded than Aaron Rodgers is. I'd say that, and we're not even going to get into the Rodgers thing because I'm sick of seeing all these stupid trade proposals.
Saw that it was in here, and then you removed it from the doc.
Get that out of here. I'm sick of that. Let's talk about that in a couple weeks when it actually matters, when they could actually trade him. And the big day is June 8th. June 8th, mandatory minicamp. Let's see if he shows up to that or not. My guess is that he will, but you never know.
Speaking of that, the Eagles canceled minicamp after OTAs.
I don't know what to make of it. All I know is that the Eagles, they're going to be the punching bag of the NFC in terms of what people, how people view them, because everybody thinks that their head coach is a buffoon. So,
and Jalen Hurts also said today that he's open for competition. I'm guessing he's speaking in terms of quarterback competition.
Who else is there? Did they draft him?
I don't know what their depth chart is.
Yeah, I don't know. No idea.
Let's see what the Eagles' depth chart is.
I feel like they might have drafted or signed somebody. Not 100% sure, though.
Oh, they have Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I think Hurts will be fine. I think he'll be the starter there, but
And the third quarterback is Jamie Newman.
Georgia, I believe. Wake Forest transfer or something. So, all right. The Giants claim Armstead. Don't know who that is. Reichel or something like that.
Yeah, I think he sat out last year.
They're just trying to get all the depth they can behind Saquon because you never know if he's going to stay healthy. And the big thing is I don't know why they let Wayne Gallman walk. That was a bit of a weird move. Thought he was a pretty serviceable backup for them, but who knows what they're trying to do.
Oh, right here. New news. Yeah, where's the Armstead thing? Yeah, he was waived by the Jags on Monday after he missed the entire 2020 season because of complications related to COVID.
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah, I don't remember that.
But he's going to a depth chart led by Saquon, and then it also includes Devontae Booker and newly signed veteran Corey Clement, among others.
Yeah, they're just adding depth. Saquon gets hurt, you got guys to go forward with. Smart moves.
The Giants also released quarterback Joe Webb.
Haven't heard that name in a while. Patriots also making headlines.
Yeah, the Patriots re-signed Brian Hoyer.
Everybody knew this would eventually happen. He'll never not re-sign with the Patriots at this point. He might play longer than Tom Brady as a backup.
But now is he the third string?
Yeah, he's like the Josh McCown, like basically a coach just sitting there.
And then also the Cowboys, they had a bunch of guys come in, try being the backup, and end up bringing in and signing Jeff Driscoll to be Dak's backup.
Yeah, a lot of teams like to do this, add to their quarterback room. The Packers did it. They got Bortles and Bennett Kurt, or whatever the hell his name is. So
that dude's got a cannon.
Well, he might suit up in the preseason for like 5 minutes, but other than that, never.
Another good news for Bengals fans. Doctors say Burrow's on track to start week 1.
Yeah, I figured that he would be. I thought it would be a little closer. I'm surprised they're already saying this since the season doesn't start for 4 months, but that's good news for the Bengals and their fans. He was obviously a difference maker for them offensively. I think the Bengals will be good in like a year. I think 2022, is when you should start having realistic expectations, because I think the Steelers are going to fall off as we go forward. The Ravens, you never know. I think the Browns are probably going to be top of the division next few years, if I had to guess. But yeah, I don't know. That division's weird, but who knows?
I mean, they got him a receiver now, another receiver.
They drafted T. Higgins in the second round last year, plus getting Jamar Chase in the first round this year.
So you think next year they're going to draft him a lot of protection?
Yeah, they also have Jonah Williams there, who they drafted in the first round the year before Burrow, offensive tackle or guard, wherever you want to put him, out of Alabama. So trying to figure out the offense. Defensively, I think they have some pretty good players in their secondary, but who knows? I think eventually they'll be better than the Steelers within the next couple of years. NCAA basketball, that's where we go forward here. Arizona State transfer Remy Martin commits to Kansas, but he's still going to go through the NBA draft process. So who knows if he's ever going to play a game for Kansas. But Kansas, very good class of transfers this year. You look at him coming in, if he plays, he was probably the best player for Arizona State a couple years ago. Injuries and stuff have have hurt him. And then Joe Yesufu they added a couple months ago out of Drake, who carried Drake down the stretch when him, Hill, and Penn went out for them. So Kansas is adding to the strength and getting their transfers in. So
but then they lose a guard today. Bryce Thompson transfers to Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I think that this is just a reload. Just losing him, he's going to play more at Oklahoma State.
He's going to fill in for Cade Cunningham's spot.
You could say that, yeah. Even though I think Avery Anderson is going to be the number one guard on that team this year, but Kansas didn't need him anyway, I don't think. But another big one is that former Kentucky commit, he decommitted from Kentucky, then Kentucky got Ty Washington. Nolan Hickman, 5-star point guard, is committing to Gonzaga. So if anybody thought Gonzaga was going to take a bit of a step back, I don't think they're going to take that much of a step back. They're going to be loaded again. They're going to have him. They're going to have Hunter Salas, who's a freshman. They're going to have Drew Timme should be back, and they'll have Chet Holmgren. So Gonzaga is going to be damn good. No doubt.
Did Suggs ever commit yet?
Yeah, he's locked into the draft.
Speaking of that, Mac McClung is to sign with an agent and remain in the NBA draft.
I mean, he transformed his game from Georgetown to Texas Tech. He became a much better overall player, but late first-round pick, possibly. He's definitely
not even that high, though.
Yeah, I think a big problem for him is that he's short, but he's really athletic. So I don't know how teams are going to view that, but I think someone will take a flyer on him late first, early second. If I had to guess, we'll see. Let's go to golf.
I'm really surprised, though, before we get to golf, that he was able to stay after Georgetown when he really slumped, that he was able to stay at a high, like big caliber school. And I thought he was going to have to transfer down to a smaller school because, he got hyped up in high school because of all the videos and everything of what he was doing in high school against kids half his size, even though he wasn't even that big.
Well, I think that just shows you how highly Chris Beard thought of him to bring him to Texas Tech, and he was basically the star there. So props to him. We'll see.
Yeah, going to golf. Last weekend, the AT&T Byron Nelson winner KH Lee wins $1.5 million, shoots 25 under for the weekend.
I didn't watch most of this tournament, but I know they tore it up on the first day and a little bit of the second day too in terms of the scores that some of these guys were shooting just off the charts.
I think he was like 67, 64, 65, 68.
Yeah, that's about right with some of these courses. Some of these, time of the year, I think plays a factor. I think if it's in Texas, it's a little warmer, the ball's probably, really moving, but props to them.
But this weekend, we got the PGA Championship, defending champion Colin Morikawa at where's this at?
Kiowa Island Golf Resort, Ocean Course, South Carolina. Should be good. Should be a very nice place to have a golf tournament. You got a lot of the big names playing. The odds are quite crazy to me, some of the way the odds are lined up.
Oh, speaking, while you're doing the next part, I got to go back and write down my odds.
Let me find some tee times just so we can get an idea of maybe what to watch the first couple days. Tomorrow, it actually kicks off at 7 a.m., assuming that's Eastern time in South Carolina. Patrick Rada, Adam Long, and Cameron Tringale will kick it off. Looking at some other notable tee times. This might be just an interesting one to watch just for fun. At 7:44 a.m. Eastern. It's got to be Eastern time. Let me just double check, though, just to make sure that it is. Kiowa's Island time zone, Eastern time. Got it. Okay, so 7:44. John Daly, Jimmy Walker, who won it in 2016, and Jason Duffner, that's just an old-timer fun group to watch there. Possibly.
John Daly's playing in this?
He is 7:44. 8:06 Eastern, Henrik Stenson, Danny Willett, who won the Masters, if you didn't know, and Bubba Watson, excuse me, will make out that tee time. Next up, let me see if I can find another good one here. Let's look at 7:38 featured group, Ricky Fowler, Adam Scott, Tyrell Hatton. Okay, another feature group, 8:22, Lee Westwood, Victor Hovland, Xander Schauffele. 8:33 feature group, Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, Brooks Koepka. 8:44, Colin Morikawa, Bryson DeChambeau, Hideki Matsuyama. Featured groups as we continue, 114, Phil Mickelson, Jason Day, Padraig Harrington. 125, Tommy Fleetwood, John Rahm, Patrick Reed. And two more feature groups here. 158, Webb Simpson, Will Zalatoris, Jordan Spieth. 209, Dustin Johnson, Shane Lowry, Sergio Garcia. So those are the feature groups as the PGA Championship, once again, last year, TPC Harding Park. Dustin Johnson looked like he might win. Morikawa came out of nowhere. And there you go. Last 5 winners of the PGA Championship. Last year, had Morikawa win at TPC Harding Park in San Francisco. 2019, Brooks Koepka from Bethpage Black in Farmingdale, New York. 2018, Brooks Koepka, Belle Rive, Town and Country, Missouri, is where he won that. 2017, Justin Thomas at Quail Hollow in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then 2016, as I mentioned, Jimmy Walker, who's playing with John Daly this week, or this first 2 days, won it at Baltusrol in Springfield, New Jersey in 2016. So there you go. Should be an interesting tournament. We'll give you our picks later on in the program. That takes us to Major League Baseball, where Shohei Ohtani apparently is not a fluke. He just keeps hitting homers. And he's a big story now. Everybody's talking about him. 14 home runs, leads the league. I think the second most is 12. I don't know who all has 12, but there you go. Keeps hitting homers. I don't know what else to say about it. Other than the fact that we can just talk about the Mike Trout thing now. Might as well get into that.
He's out 6 to 8 weeks with a calf strain. But they thought it was going to be worse.
Yeah. Every year he has something like this, though, I feel like. He's had a lot of injuries that he's missed about a month of every season, it feels like. But the Angels are atrocious anyway. It's embarrassing. It really is. The fact they've had Mike Trout there for this long, and they've had other guys in place. Anthony Rendon's there. Ohtani's been there a few years, and they're just atrocious. They can never figure it out. And they're going to waste the entire career of one of the best players of all time. I'm convinced of that. So it's embarrassing. Okay.
Because how many years is his contract for out there?
Like 12 or 13 years, and he only signed it like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He'll be there a while, and he's never going to get traded. You wouldn't, unless things just completely go off the rails and it turns into a sick transition by me or Nolan Arenado situation, who did – sign a contract, and then it went off the rails in Colorado. He's homered in 4 straight games. See behind me, my shirt also that. So 10 home runs in the season. Everyone talking about how great Chris Bryant is. Well, look at the numbers. Arenado's starting to catch up to him. So suck on that, Cubs fans. All right. Spencer Turnbull throws the Major League Baseball's 5th no-hitter of the season. 3 of them have been lefties, by the way. John Means, Joe Musgrove, Wade Miley, Carlos Rodon have thrown the no-hitters. And my take on this is no-hitters are starting to become more meaningless.
Please tell me this wasn't against the Indians.
This was against the Mariners.
Okay.
So my take is that they're becoming more meaningless. That's 5 of them in, 6 weeks of the season? So,
well,
and also,
2 of them were within like 3 days.
And baseball is like at a point now where hitters are not hitting the ball enough. So many strikeouts, so many pop-outs, fly-outs, and then home runs. So it's becoming more meaningless. It's becoming kind of embarrassing at this point. 5 no-hitters, I don't even think it's that special at this point, especially when you're doing it against garbage teams. It used to be cool. I don't really see it that way anymore. Do you agree with that?
I mean, it used to be like one of those things was rare. You might see like
because you had contact hitters.
You know what I mean? It was like you'd see it like maybe twice or 3 times we were lucky a season. But the fact that we're like 2 months into the season and you've seen it
Less
5
than
times,
6 weeks.
but you've seen it 5 times.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I don't think there's like 10 true contact hitters in the league right now, honestly.
And then Bumgarner threw one through 7.
Which should be number 6. I mean, the fact that doesn't count just makes it to where, like, okay, why are we doing the 7-inning games then if that doesn't count? What the hell is the point? It makes no sense to me. Rob Manfred is such an idiot, and I cannot believe he's still the commissioner of this sport. Nobody hates baseball more than the league offices and Manfred. It's embarrassing. And, I think one day – another thing I don't understand with Major League Baseball, by the way, like, where's the money that the players are making, where does it actually come from? Because when you see a guy like Mike Trout sign that deal for $400+ million, where's that money coming from? Because it's not coming from all revenue and all this stuff or TV deals because it's regional and people don't. It just doesn't make any sense to me. The whole thing's a joke. It's embarrassing. My love for baseball is still there slightly, but it's starting to come down. So,
but yeah, with Bumgarner, I mean, they count that as a complete game. Like the 7 innings counts as a game. It counts as a win.
So stupid.
So how does it not count as a no-hitter or anything? Because he got a win for it.
Yeah, I don't. Way to incentivize the 7-inning games. I'm glad we're having those, and then it doesn't count. So that's good. Good job by Major League Baseball. Not shocking, but the Padres did sweep the Cardinals over the weekend with their B team, but now they're getting some enforcements back. I see.
Yeah, Tatis Jr. is now back off of IL.
I think he's playing right now. I think that was an afternoon game, so he's a big part of it. He's good for the game. Electric type player, hits home runs, speed.
Which young. I don't know if when they put him on IL, they had to put Profar and the other guy on too. So I don't know if they all 3 came off today or if the others were already off and just Tatis coming off.
Hosmer's off now, I think.
Well, when Tatis went on, it was Profar and I forgot who the other one was. But it wasn't Hosmer.
Still swept the Cardinals. So, very cool. Got this Kevin Pillar thing, which was very
It was Profar and Mateo.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Pillar gets hit in the face. Several nasal fractures. But he feels lucky.
Could have been worse. Definitely could have been.
Oh, yeah.
It looked like he took a puck off the face.
I could have had like an orbital fracture where he couldn't play anymore.
I wonder if a hockey player took a puck, like one of the players doesn't wear a visor, took one off the face like that. Do you think they come back into the game?
I don't think in the NHL now. I think they have to. You have to wear at least a visor now.
Yeah, but there's players that if you played before that rule, you can still go with no visor. I can name a few. Chara doesn't have a visor. Lucic doesn't have a visor. O'Reilly doesn't have a visor. So there's still players that don't wear a visor because if you – like I think it was like 2010 or 11 or something when they made that rule that you have to wear a visor. But if you were already in the league and not wearing one, you don't have to wear one. Same thing with the McTavish thing, the fact that he didn't have a helmet on before you had to have a helmet. And he was playing in the early 2000s or late 90s, I think, with no helmet. So that's how they do it.
Speaking of that, too, Bergeron just passed Chara for most consecutive playoff starts as a Bruin. And he just passed Chara.
Right to his face, yeah. Then we have Pujols to the Dodgers. It is what it is, whatever. I mean, I don't really care about this at all. I just put it on there because there you go.
Yeah, I mean, he was going somewhere.
And the Cardinals didn't really have any interest. And I know there's reports they did. That was all BS. So there you go. All right, let's get to the NHL. Talk about Jack Eichel. We talked about last week, and I kind of went on a little bit of a rant about how big of a joke the Sabres franchise is. And I think it's come to the point now where they're going to have to trade him. So I think 3 teams that have kind of emerged as the favorites, maybe not the real favorites, but what insiders think could end up being the favorites. The LA Kings, which I think would be perfect. You have him and Kopitar as your number 1 and 2 centers. That'll play. The Rangers has always made sense. He went to BU. They got Chris Drury running things now. He's a BU guy. Eichel, it always feels like if he's ever going to take it to the next level, which he did last year, not really this year, but I always felt like maybe one day he would be a New York Ranger. And the Arizona Coyotes have a little bit of a merge. I would kind of feel bad for Eichel because while Arizona is a better situation than Buffalo, it ain't much better. They're going to have a new coach. They got money on the books from guys like Jalmerson, Goligoski, I should say, Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Some guys getting paid a lot of money to not do very much. And they're going to have a new coach, like I said, and they had to forfeit their draft pick due to the last GM being a moron who screwed them over. So I think if I had to rank those situations, I think I'd rank them just how I put them. I think the Kings would be the best situation for them because they have tons of prospects. They can give up good prospects and still keep some, looking at Turcotte, those type of guys, Kaliev, those type of prospects they have. So I think that'd be a really good situation to play behind Kopitar and probably play with some really good wingers, which I think he would anyway, but there you go.
Why can't he go be the face of the Kraken?
Well, I would say that would be fun, but are they going to have the capital to give up right away? Like, how much are they willing to do? Which I think would be great for the league. I mean, I think if I look at what Vegas has done, Vegas already has superstar guys as the face of their franchises. Guys that came from other teams. Mark Stone, the captain, came from Ottawa. So I would like that too. Maybe I should put them on there. I don't know how aggressive Seattle's going to be. I think they should take the Vegas approach, but I also think the GMs in the league now understand that Vegas kind of took them for a ride and screwed some of them over when it actually happened. So
yeah.
All right. Speaking of the Coyotes, their coach, who they mutually parted ways with last week, Rick Tocchet, interviewing with the Kraken and with the Rangers. I think he's more of a fit for Seattle, to be honest. I think Gerard Gallant is a better fit for the Rangers. Maybe Tortorella goes to the Rangers too. We'll see. But we always knew he was going to get another chance. Tocchet did a pretty good job. I think he did a lot with what he had this year in Arizona. Didn't make the playoffs, but they were pretty close. So I don't know. We'll see. But he has like that toughness type style. Some coaches have the way that they played. It's a lot like that. And I think
what the Rangers need. They need a figure skater coach.
They do. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is with the Rangers right now at this point. ESPN hires. Well, they didn't really hire. I think they already had her under it's not for the NHL. Leah Hextall to do some play-by-play in the NHL starting next season. She was in broadcasting hockey for 17 years. She's the cousin of Flyers legend and current Penguins GM Ron Hextall, and she called the NCAA tournament hockey some of those games a few months ago on ESPN, so good for her. I think she'll be great. First woman, I believe, to do full-time play-by-play in the NHL in the history, so that's pretty cool. TNT's number one team will, in fact, be Kenny Albert and Eddie Olczyk. Number one team for the Stanley Cup. They're going to have 3 of the next 7 cups after this year. So speaking of Marv, his son, who has called Stanley Cup playoff games, I believe he also called Stanley Cup final games on Westwood One. Now he'll get a shot to do it on TV. ESPN is going to hire Ray Ferraro and Brian Boucher as analysts. Ferraro working, I believe, at TSN. Prior to this, I believe his wife is a scouting director for the Kraken, so going into the States working for ESPN, that's a good hire. Boucher right now is at NBC, so bringing one of them over. And the current favorites for ESPN's number one play-by-play announcer are Sean McDonough and Steve Levy. So 2 guys that have either done Monday Night Football, like McDonough did a few years ago, and the one currently doing it, Levy, likely one of those 2 becomes the number one play-by-play announcer for ESPN, which they will have 4 Stanley Cups. So there you go. Big NHL rundown.
Yeah. And then, did you see this Monday or whatever? I know it's affected you guys Monday. The Blues amongst teams affected by NHL's COVID retesting?
Yeah, and I do have a statement to read the NHL just put out. This morning, we became aware of certain test results involving players on 2 clubs, the St. Louis Blues and the Vegas Golden Knights, that had indicated positive results for the COVID-19 virus. Because those reported results emanated from the same laboratory and due to other, I don't know that word, and similarities as among the test results themselves, an investigation was initiated into the possibility that the initial test results reported may have been an error. All affected players were immediately isolated and further testing was done involving collected samples. Those tests have returned uniformly negative results, therefore confirming that the initial reported test results were an error. As a result, all affected players will be eligible to play in their team's next game.
So David Perron had to miss Monday night's game because of a false positive.
I don't think Perron's involved in this one, though. I think this one was very recent. I think the ones before were real. This one, though, because I think Perron's still on the COVID list. I think this one would have affected Jaden Schwartz, Jordan Bennington, Vladimir Tarasenko, Marco Scandella. None of those guys would have been able to play tonight if it wasn't a false positive. So it could have really screwed the Blues.
This article I was reading off of was talking about Monday's game.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that it was a pre-playoff testing for Perron, I think is what happened there. So I think he's still going to remain out, but it could have affected the Blues in a major way tonight. Maybe it still will because none of those guys that had false positives were able to skate at all in the last 2 days. There was a morning skate today that had a bunch of taxi squad players and line rushes. So either way, though, let's be honest, they don't have much of a chance against the Avalanche. The Avalanche are just another beast, and it is what it is, you know? It sucks, but you got to deal with it. Not everyone can have a somewhat evenly matched first-round matchup with the Washington Capitals. Not everyone can have that. But all right, let's look at the first round. Washington, Boston 1-1. Pittsburgh, the Islanders 1-1. Vegas, Minnesota 1-1. Colorado, St. Louis 1-0 Colorado. Tampa Bay and Florida 2-0 Tampa, and then 1-0 Carolina over Nashville. So have you watched much of the action?
I watched the Boston-Washington game Saturday.
It was a good game. I thought Washington came out really physical and did what you have to do in a game one. And I got to be honest. I mean, I picked the Bruins to win that series, but even at 1-1 right now, they have not looked very good the last 2 games. They're lucky that Craig Anderson, who's barely played, has been in net, who had a pretty good game in game 2, even though they lost. But Bruins taking a little bit to get their feet under them.
No, and Tom Wilson's still getting his cheap shots in, too.
Are you talking about the one into the bench? Because that was a fine hit.
No, the one on Taylor Hall's goal in the third Monday.
I don't even remember that one. I just remember
he scores it, stands up, puts his hands up to celebrate, and Wilson cross-checks him in the ribs.
That's not surprising. You know, it's playoff hockey.
It was like 20 seconds after the goal, and Wilson stands there. And also, when he cross-checks him, he slams him into the net, like the pipe. I'm like,
yeah, that's not great. It's what it is, though, I guess. You know, you never know what's going to happen. The Vegas, I think the 2 best series to this point, Vegas, Minnesota have been really good games. Not a lot of goals scored, good goaltending. Tampa and Florida, those games have been electric. Like, I know it's 2-0 Tampa, but the first game was unreal. That was a really good game. Carolina, Nashville, I think it's a good environment because they have a ton of fans in Carolina, but Carolina is just way better. Colorado, St. Louis, you know, hey, first game, the Avalanche pretty much just do whatever they want. So that's kind of how that goes. It'll probably be the same thing tonight. Then the Toronto-Montreal series gets kicked off tonight. We'll go over the schedules here right now, I guess, might as well.
Which is also something me and Ethan have talked about, is how the Boston-Washington game tonight is in game 3 of the series. But the Jets-Oilers game is just game 1 of their series, and tomorrow will be Montreal-Toronto
game 1, yeah.
Game 1. So the North hasn't even started playing yet, but yet the East will be playing game 3 tonight and tomorrow. But the North is just now starting playing.
Yeah, and they're also going to have I think Montreal's going to have fans. I don't think anybody else is in Canada, which is just a freaking joke and not surprising. But I think that it comes down to the North is going to have enough time, since the first rounds are all divisional, that they're not going to have to worry about being late and then having to play another team. And there'll probably be a couple days in between the end of the second round and the beginning of the semifinals. So the North won't have to worry. They'll have extra days in between while everyone else is done. give them a couple days to finish that series out. Or best case, Toronto sweeps them and Edmonton sweeps them, and then they're right caught up.
Well, it was either that or they were waiting on those Flames Canucks games.
Yeah, which is so stupid, but whatever. I kind of feel bad they have to play those games. It's such a joke, but is what it is. All right, 5:30, which is about an hour from now from when we're recording this. The episode should be up by the time or before this game starts, I have to think. You have the Capitals and the Bruins, Game 3 from TD Garden in Boston. Big game here. What is your confidence level going into tonight for the Bruins?
I like it.
We'll see. I mean, goaltending is going to be a big part of this. I'm assuming Craig Anderson's back in the net since Vanacek went out and Samsonov is still hurt, but they have the upper hand right now because of goaltending. I think that helps the Bruins a lot. Predators, Hurricanes at 7 o'clock Central. I expect the Canes to go up 2-0. Jets, Oilers, Game 1. You never know how these are going to go. You think the Jets are a little bit more of a playoff-style team in comparison to Edmonton, but I think Edmonton's due to get past the first round again. McDavid's only done it once. I think it was his second season when they got past it. No Ehlers or Dubois for Winnipeg tonight, like the Oilers in that game. Blues, Avs, 9:30. I'd be surprised the Avs don't win 8-0, so we'll see. And then in the NBA tonight, you have the Western Conference playing games, Spurs, Grizzlies, Warriors, Lakers. Warriors, Lakers, I might flip it on, watch it for a few minutes, but I don't have that much interest.
I watched the second game last night, the second half. I guess I watched like the second quarter through the end of the game.
Yeah, all I know is that the Suns are getting shafted as a 50-22 team, getting shafted. Or I think it's 51-21. Getting shafted, they got to play one of these two teams in the first round. What a joke. I think I'd rather play the Warriors, though, to be honest. Because,
the Spurs and Grizz, they're the 9-10, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So the loser of that game's done. Winner will play the Lakers or Warriors, whoever loses that. So there you go. All right, let's get into the betting. Wrap this one up. Last week, I went 2-0 in the NBA, 1-1 in the NHL, 2-2 in Major League Baseball. I had Spieth finish 9th, Zalatoris 17th, Gooch finished 39th, DeChambeau 55th. So 5-2 overall, and I'm now 34-27 for the year.
I went 2-2 in MLB, 1-1 in the NBA, and 2-0 in hockey. I went 5-3 as well, and 34-29.
Staying on the same pace. We'll see how it goes throughout the next few weeks. PGA Championship, 4 golfers. Who are you taking?
I got Justin Thomas at plus 1,400, Dustin Johnson at plus 1,600, Scotty Scheffler at plus 3,300, and Patrick Cantlay at plus 4,000.
All right, I'm going Spieth at plus 1,500. He's due to win a major again. You got to think it's going to happen soon. Could be the U.S. Open. Could be this one. We'll see. Let me get Koepka at plus 5,000. He's won the PGA Championship twice, and I know he's got the knee issues, but I think he'll be better. We'll see how he plays. Bubba Watson plus 7,000, knows how to perform in the majors. And then Justin Rose, I feel like always does pretty well in majors over the last few years. Give me him plus 10,000 on him. All right, let's go to the NHL.
Who's your last one?
Justin Rose.
Gotcha.
NHL playoff games, 4 playoff games tomorrow. Puck lines or money lines. I don't know which one we're doing. I wrote down puck lines. Who you taking?
I did 2 of each. I got Florida plus 1.5 over Tampa Bay. Islanders minus 114 over Pittsburgh. Canadians plus 1.5 over Toronto. And the Vegas minus 115 over the Wild.
All right, so I went all puck lines, so a little more difficult for me here. I got to have these guys win by 2 goals, so the favorites at least, but we'll see. I think Tampa Bay, I think it's pedal to the metal time. I think they're just going to roll over Florida. Give me them minus 1.5. Islanders plus 1.5. I think they'll bounce back against Pittsburgh in Game 3. Toronto minus 1.5 against the Canadians, and then Vegas minus 1.5 against Minnesota. Vegas learned that they could score. Didn't score at all in the first game. Took them a while. Took them like a period and a half to score in Game 2. About 4.5 periods total. But they realized they could score, and now they've taken off. Vegas, I think, will finish that series off sooner rather than later than what people probably thought.
Who'd you take in the Islanders-Pittsburgh game?
I got Lightning, Islanders, Leafs, Knights. Golden Knights. All right, NBA playoff Thursday. There's one game. It is the game to determine the 8th seed. Pacers Wizards. Line 3.5. Who are you taking?
I got the Pacers plus 3.5.
I also have the Pacers plus 3.5. I think the Wizards are not as good as advertised, especially when Westbrook is playing lethargically and Beal is still dealing with some injury issues. So there you go.
His hamstring is still messing with him.
Definitely. All right, MLB lines. These are for tonight. So we got to get these going. So here we go. Tonight. Go ahead.
I got St. Louis minus 235 over Pittsburgh. I got the Angels minus 124 over Cleveland. Ohtani's on the mound. Milwaukee minus 195 over Kansas City. And Houston minus 125 over Oakland.
I am going against you on a couple of these. I'll take the Yankees minus 180 against the Rangers. I believe Kluber's on the bump. I'll take the Cardinals minus 230 over the Pirates. Flaherty 7-0. They haven't lost the start yet. See if you can get to 8-0. You think it's favorable. I'll take the A's against Greinke against the Astros plus 100. I'll take the Indians plus 102 against the Angels because I'm going with the theme that the Angels franchise is a joke. And there you go. So those are the picks.
Ohtani's on the bump and you're taking and going against him?
Don't care. He's only going to pitch like 4 innings if I had to guess anyway. So no Trout. People are going to start pitching around Ohtani. It's going to be a lot harder for the Angels. Just going to keep getting worse. That's all I see. But all right, that'll do it. We'll be back next Wednesday, the 26th. We'll have a PGA Championship winner to discuss. Full NBA bracket. There'll be some playoff games started by then. Mostly all the game ones should be out of the way by then. NHL playoffs. Some series will probably be over by then. All that stuff. And we'll talk about that next week.
Deuces.